Hello, my friends. Thank you for being here today, walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. Today, we're going to do about 5.5 miles. We're going to do my scenic route that I like, that I've done many times now. And again, this is a walking vlog about exercise and health. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. It's not about going out and about and exploring the planet, new places. Although some people would love that. I'm here mainly for the walk and talk. I realized over the past 3 walks or so, all I've been talking about is a new camera. And quite honestly, time to get back to business of politics and whatever else. So anyway, make America healthy again. Very important for people to get off their asses and get in shape. For your health, your personal health, not for anyone else, but for you. And the difference literally can be 10 years in a nursing home when you're old, or 10 years not being in a nursing home when you're old. And a lot of people that spend their life drinking a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is toxic, it's a poison, which is why it makes you feel like you do. It's a mild toxin. There are certain types of alcohol that if you drink it, you'll die. So with that being said, over time, it does damage to your body. And there is a heavy link to people that have stroke problems with a lifetime of drinking or drug use. All kinds of problems come from cocaine use, for example. That can range from liver cancer to where it most commonly affects people is heart disease. So you have to do an awful lot of it for a long time. But don't be surprised if one of these days we find out the great rock legend Alice Cooper, for example, has some kind of liver cancer or heart problem because he did a lot of cocaine. So he's clean now, but when the damage is done, it's done. Your body does recover and heal a little bit, but you know, drugs are bad, drinking's bad, it just is, you know. Anyways, we get up ahead, I'll flip the camera around. We got a lot of political stuff to talk about today. So we shall talk about it. I do hope that you like the new playlists on the website, on YouTube, on the profile, that you can find my channel at Megatrends, Megatrends. We now have playlists for all kinds of things, a few things anyway. Most of my playlists are private just because of videos I like to see, live cams. I like a lot of the Japanese live webcams. I also like a lot of the rail cams, railroad intersections across the country. I've always liked trains. I think most people do. So anyway, today it's mid-70s. 70% of showers this afternoon, and well, it's afternoon and I'm not seeing showers. So I'm wondering if the forecast has been muffed. If it's been muffed up. Walking with J.Beau, where I make up words. So if I get rained on with a shower, which I don't think I will, I'm not gonna croak. As my mom used to say, you're not made of sugar, you're not gonna melt, so stop complaining about it. So we got a hero salute here to a couple veterans, somebody's lawn, which is nice. Michael Newton and Arthur Albert. Arthur Albert served until 1945, World War II. He's a medic. And Desert Storm, 90 to 94. Cannon crew member, Persian Gulf. We honor our veterans. Excuse me. I got a feeling today I'm going to have a couple of good rants, which is good. Get that out of my system. I got to tell you though, I do not remember the weather being this beautiful in Maine for many years, for this long. And yes, everything is drying up. There is a drought. It's unfortunate. My walk in the woods yesterday was really, I have to say, I was kind of shocked that I didn't see or hear all the animals I usually hear. So it is affecting them. I don't know if the little animals have crawled off somewhere to die. Because you don't have water, you know, what do these animals do when they don't have water? And the little brooks have all dried up. They literally have no water to drink. So, I mean, what do? A human goes a couple of days without water and they're in danger of dying. And even if you don't, you can get some pretty bad damage like kidney failure and other organ failure, because your body needs water, it just does. And when your kidneys process water, you know, that cleans your blood, it cleans a lot of stuff. So, you know, it's very important to have water. Things we take for granted. But if you're out in the woods, I mean, I suppose if animals were desperate, they could pluck some leaves off bushes and try to suck moisture out of them. I don't know what You know, a lot of those animals eat leaves, so maybe they just eat more leaves. I don't know. But I could not hear or see little animals all over. And when I walk through that bird sanctuary, that's usually all you hear is birds, and you see little squirrels and chipmunks all over the place. I think I heard 1 or 2 birds. Now the birds, it's a little easier because they can just fly off to a lake somewhere, you know. You fly up and look around, oh, there's water. Right next to Thorn Crag, there's a big giant reservoir, which I filmed. So there's water around, if they can get to it. Anyways, I'm gonna turn the camera around. Hello, my friends. Put out the extendy pole. Not to its full length. I think this is sufficient for distance. So anyways, my friends, welcome to Walking with J.Beau. I'm happy you're here. So I hope you like the new playlist on the profile, what I was saying a couple minutes ago. It's very important to be organized. And I know when you go to my page, it'll just list like newest videos. But you can select what shows up for you. Most popular ones. All of my most popular videos are all firearms. And I will be getting back to that soon. The firearm content will be increasing. And yes, when I walk like this every day, it consumes time, video editing and all that stuff. So, but at the end of the day, it's my channel to do with what I want. If I start posting vinyl records instead of firearms, then that's what happens. So it's to entertain me, to share what I'm about to the rest of the world, whatever the hell that means. And politics is a big part of what I care about. So, you know, we have a lot of things going on, and I want to thank one of the viewers for reminding me the name I was looking for was Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey. A rhino. And yes, Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme Christie. It's a tongue twister, but he loves Krispy Kreme, and it sure looks like it. Another billionaire who wants to control everybody's life, calls himself a Republican. He's not. The guy can't even control his own elbow, all right? So that's the truth of that. We got another one that can't control his elbow. Pritzker in Illinois, or as I call it, Illinosis. Illinosis is that mental fog you get in when you look at the policies going on in Illinois right now, especially with regard to assault rifles and everything else. Trans women using the ladies' room, which normally, I suppose, you know, and some people would be okay with that. They wouldn't care. But you have to realize that most of these trans women have not had bottom surgery, so they're essentially guys, you know. And even if you have the bottom surgery, you're still a guy. But to me, that kind of removes the threat to women, because they're on a lot of hormone replacement therapy. So they lose a lot of, not all, but they lose some muscular strength that they had. But they're still stronger than women. So, and it has to do with upper body skeleton. Broad shoulders, you know. So, all of these blue states have everything in common. They all do the same things, as evidenced by watching Democrats defending crime in big cities. And the Democratic Party wonders why 4.5 million. I found this number stunning, and it's probably low, a low estimate. It's probably worse than this. 4.5 million Democrats have left the Democratic Party recently. Now, it's not to say they're rushing over to the Republican Party, but what they're doing is they're registering as independents to be won over by whichever party makes sense. So they left the Democrats because the Democrats aren't making sense, and they're not quite ready to be a conservative Republican. So, which is fine. I love independents, because true independents are independent because they're not far left lunatics. Now, a lot of them lean too far left, but the Democratic Party has gone so far to the left that even the left-leaning moderates are like, whoa, this is too crazy for me. And defending crime is one of the reasons why the Democrats are losing. Cashless bail. Everything that is wrong and inherently everybody knows is wrong, the Democrats defend it. Men in the women's room. Tampons in schoolboys' bathrooms. That's another Pritzker gem right there. And Pritzker's sister, who is actually his brother, is transgender. So his brother gets a lot of money, and they spend a lot of money promoting this foolishness. And it's a cult. It is. Neo-Marxism, socialism, it's very cult-like. And they call MAGA a cult. Well, MAGA just wants common sense and put the country first. People first, law and order first, the Constitution first. I guess being an American is a cult with the left. I don't know. So, whew, I got a pretty good sweat going. It's mild today. There's some humidity in the air. I got sucked up this way by Hurricane Aaron, who's now out to sea, no longer a hurricane. But I'm getting wet already. So anyway, Illinois Governor Pritzker thinks he's going to be president someday. And he thinks the best way to do it is every time he speaks, he trashes Trump. Gavin Newsom, same thing. Carbon copy. Trump, 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 Trumpity Trump, 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 Trumpity Trump some more. It's not going to win you anything. He's not an incumbent. They have spent since 2015 doing that, though. And they crossed the line and went too far, tried to lock him up for life. And I fully support everything Trump's doing right now. Everything. And he's doing a lot, and he's not getting credit for a lot of it. Thankfully, the Epstein bullshit has fallen out of the news right quick. Now we're going to have those hearings in D.C., which I think the Democrats should have just left alone. Hopefully out of all of this, and I sincerely mean this, hopefully out of all of this, I hope somebody goes to jail for molesting and basically raping these young women. And we don't even know how young the girls were. We don't really know anything. And as Ghislaine Maxwell testified, under oath, by the way, even though I will have to admit she's not really a reliable, she's lied already in her previous court case. So she's a liar, she's not trustworthy. I get that. But we know President Trump didn't do anything wrong. She also said there was no Epstein list, which I already knew that. And these online influencers keep that going because it keeps their money flowing. Ad clicks. So that's just the truth of it. This guy's going to start up his tractor. Going to start up his backhoe. Well, whatever that is. Tractor gizmo. With a truck going by here. Big truck. Road's not very wide, so he didn't have all the room he needed to go by. So anyways, Pritzker and people like Newsom, I hope they run for president. I know they're going to. They think fighting back against Donald Trump is going to give them street cred with voters. Because they honestly believe, I guess, that people want crime in cities. They want fentanyl in the streets. They want the border open. See, what else is he doing? They want war in the Middle East. They want war in Ukraine with Russia. Voters don't want any of that, which is why they voted for Trump. So Trump is doing what he said he was going to do, and the best they can do is the media has to come out and try to say Trump is failing. So today, the Chicago mayor, well, probably yesterday, said that in Washington, D.C., well, he's the mayor of Chicago and he's talking about Washington, D.C., only 9 people were arrested. With all this military and all of this law enforcement out on the streets, they only arrested 9 people. That's false. That's blatantly false. The real numbers, which the media is going to have to report now that they came out today, well over 1,000 people were arrested. There hasn't been any murders. People feel safer. They're going to the park now for the first time in a while by themselves. And they're having the audacity to wear a watch and jewelry without worrying about getting robbed. So, the people get it. You know what I mean? If the Democrats are just going to run on being pro-crime, cashless bail, that's another one. There were 2 incidents in Washington, D.C. One was 2 guys had a fight. One of them got arrested with a gun, firearm. and was threatening to kill the guy. So he got arrested, cashless bail. He got out because he had not committed the crime he said he was going to. He had an illegal gun that's supposed to be a felony, and so they let him out on cashless bail, probably because he was a person of color, and that's the whole point of cashless bail. That's the Democrats saying, well, black people need special legal assistance because they're all poor. Basically what the Democrats were saying, not what I'm saying. That's the reason for it. They can't come up with the bail money, so they sit in jail, they lose their job, and then they're guaranteed to be a criminal after that. Well, that defeats the whole purpose of bail. The whole purpose of bail and having a bail bondsman is that you can get out of jail, go to your job, you put your house up, or somebody else put their house up for collateral to guarantee the bail bond, and that gives somebody the responsibility of grandma not losing her house. So it kind of ensures they're not going to commit more crimes until they have their court date and they try to stay out of jail. That's the whole point of it. So cashless bail actually hurts minorities. It doesn't help them. And in this case, the guy got out of jail, and the very next day he went back and he murdered the guy that he threatened to kill, that he got arrested for in the first place. So now he got arrested for murder. You know, try to make it make sense, and you know, the Democrats just don't know what the hell they're doing with anything. So anyway, I just noticed something new way out in the field I had not seen before. Don't know if you can see it way out in the distance in front of the tree line at the base. There's a little white box. That is a beehive box. All of these fields with these marigolds, ragweed, whatever you want to call them. Not sure what the technical term is. I'm not a botanist. But all of these bees get the pollen and stuff from these, and they make honey, and so the main benefit though is farmers around here get their crops pollinated, which is very important. Now today we have some sunflowers that have opened up. Look at this. A couple of these are so huge they're tipped over. Look at that. Got some bees, looks like, or bugs. Kind of look like bees. Yeah, a bunch of bees pollinating the flowers. Isn't that lovely? Look at this one way up there. I'm 6 feet tall, and that is way, way up there. Look at that. Bees are doing their thing, man. You don't really realize how big these sunflowers are until you see them in person. Holy cannoli. Holy cannolios. Street. I'll check to make sure I don't get hit by a car. I get sweat dripping down my face. What a beautiful shot. Well, 70% chance of showers. It doesn't look like showers to me. I don't know. I'm going to pause this recording to do a 360 video up ahead. I want to stop off at that little outlet or inlet, whatever you want to call it, which has water. We'll see what the water levels are. And usually it has a lot of lily pads. So be sure to check out my 360 walking videos. They're about 5-minute clips from different walks. You may find them interesting. Or you may not. So anyway, the Democratic Party right now is lost in freaking space. And they're getting worse. It's like they just completely do not get it. Chuck Schumer is talking about backing Governor Mills here to run for Senate. Governor Mills is a progressive. She's going to try to appeal to moderates because she has vetoed some crazy leftist legislation. But she has also promoted a lot of crazy leftist stuff, like the transgender stuff, which is not popular here in Maine. I see it all the time online. People are like, boy, you people in Maine are sure crazy with that stuff. No, it's not the people of Maine. It's not. It's the people running Maine. It's going to be an interesting election next year for Senate. So we'll see what happens, but Maine is getting more red every election because the leftists, they go too far. They don't know when to quit. Southwest Maine is as crazy as Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, Maryland, all those places. Just as crazy. Saco. Places like that. Kooky banana leftists. People that were all in favor of locking people up and not masking. There's actually one town somewhere near Saco that actually passed the city ordinance that if you weren't wearing a mask you would get fined. So that's, you know, that's basically where they went. That would never happen here in Lewiston or Augusta. Just in southwest Maine, Looneyville. All right, so now we're gonna go down. We're gonna go down to the water. See if there's any ducks or anything out here. I don't know if there is or not. This sure did grow over a lot. I'm glad it's not tick season. This would be the worst stuff to walk in if it was. So I'm going to come over here. Probably good bass fishing here. Now you wouldn't think so, but that Montello Heights Reservoir near Thorn Craig, where I post videos from sometimes, there is actually rainbow trout in there. I did not know that. I just scared those geese. I didn't even see them until they took off. Wow, see that? I spooked them. Well, something in the water there just squeaked at me and went in the water. That can't be good. So anyway, I'm going to get a 360 right now. Be back in a second. So now we're going to continue on walking. You can see the video segment I edited out of this, and that body of water in there where we saw those ducks take off. Check out the 360 playlist for some 360 shenanigans. Now we're going to continue on. Now, something I want to talk about is something important to me. Flag burning. Flag burning. Burning the U.S. flag. That has pissed people off for a long time for different reasons. Now, before we even get into this, okay, the Supreme Court has ruled that flag burning is a constitutional right under the First Amendment. Okay? Let's get that out of the way early. That's going to be the argument against Donald Trump's executive order of giving people a year in jail for burning the flag. So you're thinking, well, the Supreme Court rules the First Amendment gives people the right to burn the flag. Why would President Trump sign an executive order putting people in jail for a year with no parole, by the way? You get a guaranteed year in jail for burning a U.S. flag. You sign that executive order today. Why would he do that? Knowing that lawsuits are going to be filed. Because if you read the executive order and not listen to CNN and MSNBC, it states in it, under the premise of incitement. So in other words, you can take the flag off your garage. All of a sudden you hate the country. You want to take your flag off your porch or your garage, to throw it in a fire pit. Perfectly legal, even with Trump's executive order. When it becomes illegal is when these dogs, every time I walk by here, they hear me talking and they go crazy. So burning the flag at a protest is the thing. So the executive order mentions incitement, burning the flag to incite violence. So we have seen too many of these protests where they're chanting death to America, this and that, kill the Jews, all of those really nasty, awful type rhetoric that is bigoted, racist, hateful, and inciting violence. So burning the American flag is now a crime under the ruling of incitement. Nothing to do with free speech or the First Amendment. Very important stipulation, okay? Technically, when you're out in public and you're setting fire to something, you should be able to get charged for arson as well, right? So now the left is going to go full-blown anti-Trump on this, calling him a dictator, an authoritarian. But what happens in blue cities? Even in Maine. Think real hard. Flags and symbols, they get burned or defaced. Guess what happens? People get charged with hate crimes if they burn a rainbow flag or a trans flag, or if they shred one in public, if they do a cookie with their car to deface a crosswalk that's painted like a rainbow or the trans colors. It's now a hate crime. So you have a First Amendment right to burn those flags, and this is my argument, but you're doing it in a way that's a hate crime. So if they go around prosecuting people for burning trans flags and defacing crosswalks, and we can't put people in jail for burning a US flag, that is a common sense thing that a lot of Americans are upset about. So this is very smart by President Trump, because it puts this issue of neo-Marxist Democrats in the news again, because they're all going to come out to defend that again. Why did they lose in all 7 swing states? Because the Republicans ran anti-transgenderism ads, which again, I want to state, people are not against transsexualism. It's the transgenderism, which is neo-Marxist, far-left extremist ideologies, DEI. And they force it on other people, and if you don't comply, you lose your job, you get fired. So, warm today. So that is the issue with that. So yes, you have a First Amendment right to burn a flag. You don't have a First Amendment right to incite violence, which infringes on the rights of other people. And if they're going to prosecute people for hate crimes, for burning neo-Marxist political symbols, then they should be prosecuting people for burning the US flag at protests to incite violence. So these people were throwing objects. That is our guy I was talking about. Very hot and warm today, and he's fully clothed, head to toe. I think he's a veteran that has severe burns, and he's turning down that road there, which goes to No Name Pond. So he lives around here. He's always got his face fully covered, and gloves, long sleeves, and dressed head to toe, riding his bike. And I've said hi to him many times. He nods his head, so he's got his face fully covered. I don't know why. It's all I can think of. I think he was badly burned, and or he has some kind of rare skin disease or something. I don't know what. But anyway, flag burning, I mean, geez, how long has that pissed you off? And I saw a video earlier from 2006. Hillary Clinton, Senator Hillary Clinton, on the floor in the Senate, giving a speech about how people should pass laws banning flag burning. So she was all for it then, right? Right? Right. So, you know, and a lot of Democrats feel that way. But they're not going to support it just because Trump and far-left donors who hate the flag don't want them to support it, or they won't get donor money. And that is exactly what destroyed the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party used to love America. We had differences on, you know, bleeding heart liberal stuff, but then these Marxists came in and stole the party. And they did, they stole it. Mostly with money. A lot of these big billionaire donors, they're socialists. That's what they are. And if the Democrats aren't going to promote what they want, they're not going to give them the money. So right now the Democratic Party is having a difficult time raising money, because the last time everybody gave what they could afford to give, and I'm talking about young people that don't have much money, who were afraid of Donald Trump because they believed the bullshit, find out that Kamala's campaign wasted all their money and there's nothing to show for it. So they're having a hard time getting small dollar donations, and they're having a hard time getting big donor donations. And they're having young people defecting from the Democratic Party. They're in trouble. And just changing how they talk isn't going to fix it. It won't. They are in big doo-doo trouble. Ooh, I'm getting a good workout today. I'm all sweaty. I'm also going to switch the camera around because this is getting heavy. Alright. Make sure the lens isn't covered with gunk. It gets sweaty like this. I touch the lens and it gets all blurry, smudged. So, that's my thoughts on that stuff. The Democratic Party is defending everything that the majority of Americans, and crime in the cities is another 80-20 issue. 80% of the public want cities to be safe. Democrats are now going to fight against Donald Trump to keep their crime. This is all the strategy of President Trump's administration. It's brilliant because you get these guys to defend insanity. The other thing to remind you of is what has completely come to a stop. Simply through executive action and it being upheld by the courts. Two big ones. They used to be big in the news. Organized rioting has come to an end in America. Department of Justice is investigating the people financing it for criminal wrongdoing. And there are laws and statutes against incitement of violence. That's why the flag burning executive order is going to end up going to the Supreme Court again, but it's going to be under the guise of incitement. So it's not a First Amendment issue, it's a public safety issue. And this is what the Democrats have been very good at for the last 20 years, is all this legal stuff. And Republicans haven't wanted to bother with it because they're like, we have a constitution, why don't we just do what it says? They don't want to get their hands dirty with all the money it takes to fight all this legal stuff all the time. But now the Republicans have learned that you're going to have to do that, and that's what we're doing. Very well, I might add. Trump's winning everything. Because it's common sense and it's constitutional. You know? So anyway, the president of South Korea was at the White House today. The new president-elect, who was sworn in as president after the conservative one, they politically lawfared him because he didn't like what the socialists were doing in South Korea, and he tried to do something about it himself. And it came across as somewhat of like a coup, which I guess it was. And the parliament in South Korea demanded that he be arrested and charged with sedition, treason, whatever you want to call it. So they have their problems over there. But they have a independent party there. They have a far-right party. And they have a far-left party. Well, right now the lefties are in control, and apparently they just raided some churches in South Korea, which really pissed off Donald Trump. I don't know what all this anger and angst is against Christians and Jews, but geez, anyway, they raided some churches in South Korea. You can look that up. I haven't fully read up on it yet, so I'm not going to assume anything. I'll just say that they did do that, and Trump was pissed about it. And he brought it up today to the president of South Korea, basically telling South Korea, you know, you guys do an awful lot of trade with the United States. And to do that to Christians, I don't know if that's a country you want to do business with. That got their attention. And the other thing with that is, South Korea makes a lot of stuff that we need. And they have been a major supplier of electronic goods. My cell phone that I use, Samsung Galaxy, is a product of South Korea. But Trump also raised some American bases in South Korea. He didn't like what the government did there either with regard to churches and religion. So I don't know why South Korea is at war with Christianity. Probably because they're leftist and that's what they do. And in America, they call Trump an authoritarian dictator. He came in and took over DC. Well, there hasn't been any murder in DC. People feel safe. And President Trump today said he's mulling over, well, actually yesterday, he's mulling over sending troops to Baltimore to restore order there, where black people are being killed at rates that are completely unacceptable. So now Democrats are going to defend killing black people because they don't police their cities, because they're full of bureaucracy, red tape, stupidity, incompetence is a better word. So President Trump's going to bring all of this stuff in the media for the whole country to see. You know, Trump's right about that. It's common sense. Common sense. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Democrats defend. They just defend it blindly just because it's Trump. You know, if Trump wrote an executive order saying you couldn't rape your dog anymore, the Democrats would defend it and say everybody should be able to rape their dogs. These people are insane. They have Trump derangement syndrome, which is probably terminal, because their party is dying. They can't do anything to stop it. They just cannot help themselves. So anyway, Trump today said that the next city that's going to be targeted is going to be Chicago, where so many black kids and people and white people and Hispanics and every other damn person is being killed on a daily basis. They have a socialist mayor in Chicago who's worse than the stupid, incompetent woman they had before him. He's even worse. And, you know, I don't know why voters just can't figure this crap out and stop voting for these people. So this will make it abundantly aware to these Democrat voters in Chicago that Trump is not the bad guy. He wants to help you. So You already know there are a lot of black people in these cities, in these inner city neighborhoods, poor as fuck all, that were sitting around at the dinner table, if they even do that anymore, which they probably don't, which is another problem in the black community, is the family unit. And they probably discussed, I wish somebody would do something about this. How do you think these people would feel walking in their neighborhood and for the first time they saw armed law enforcement with long rifles walking around in the streets keeping order and arresting criminals, taking firearms away that are illegally owned by gangbangers? How well do you think that would go over in Chicago with voters? Very well. Trump knows this. The Democrats are going to make themselves look like idiots defending it because they can't help themselves. This is all win-win for Republicans. And this puts the Democrats further in the back seat or in the sewer where they belong. They're going to have to defend this stuff. Well, we're getting more clouds. Sure as hell doesn't feel like showers yet, though. So, my friends, that's where we are right now on this stuff. Ooh, I can't believe how much I'm sweating today. Very mild. So we got all this crazy stuff going on. It's just interesting to watch. The other thing that got discussed today, which I thought was interesting, Trump being typical Trump, talking about the Department of Defense. He goes, what is this with the defense? He goes, you know, I want to be defended, but, the business of the Pentagon is war. That covers offense and defense. I mean, so he's thinking about having the name changed to what it used to be called. In the 1950s and 60s, I believe, used to be called the Department of War. Their job was warfare. Trump says, I don't want to be defense. He said, I want to be offense. Warfare. It covers everything. That means if somebody attacks you and you wipe them out, that's war. If you go after the cartels in Mexico with targeted leadership assassinations, which is what we're going to do with drones, got to get permission from the Mexican government to send in armed troops. She's already said that the military forces are not going to be on the ground in Mexico from the United States. And she has the right to do that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we can't drop Navy SEALs in or special forces to do things we need to have done to cartels. And I'll tell you right now, that's just as dangerous as getting dropped into something held by the Taliban. These cartel people are very ruthless. They'll murder anybody because there's no consequences. They don't get arrested. Well, there was a family of tourists that were found vacationing just across the border from New Mexico into Mexico. They were vacationing. So they stopped into town Nobody knows what happened because people that live there aren't going to talk. They're not going to tell you what happened. The cartels will kill them too. Didn't see nothing. Don't know what happened. But mom and dad were both killed. Had their hands cut off and their heads cut off. They found the torsos in the trunk of the car. And they still haven't found the head and the hands and things like that. So they kill people and then they get rid of what can identify them. So they kill the whole family. 2 kids too disappeared. They don't know where the kids are. They probably stole the kids and now they're being sex trafficked. You know? How long are we going to sit around and just say, well, it's in Mexico. What the fuck can we do about it? Well, let's go in and kill the fucking bastards. I'm all for that. President Trump campaigned on that. He wants to do military strikes on the cartels. And I fully support that. That's why we place them on a terrorist list. Because they kidnap people, hold them ransom. They traffic people. That's where a lot of the migration in this country went through the cartels first. They made billions of dollars off this. The cartels have so much money, it's crazy. So we need to do like we do with terrorist organizations. We need to seize their billions of dollars, no matter where they have it in the world. And we need to kill them. They are killing women and children, parents, kidnapping people. So, oh, look at this. Look at this. Would you look at this? They're finally going to get around to fixing this fucking hole. And this shit really pisses me off. Because obviously you see what they did. They have a cone here. And they're marking it for the people that fix the roads. Now, I had told you guys last year there was a hole here you could see. You won't see it on here because it's too dark. That is a good 3.5 feet underground, I can see. And that's about ready to cave. So obviously they realize they have to fix that, and you can see people have been driving over it anyway, even though it's marked very brightly. So at least they're going to fix it. But I shot a video clip of that last year, and I sent it to the head of Public Works, and I never heard back. Now, that's not to say they don't answer people back, because that office has answered me before. When they broke a window on our property with the chute from the machine that throws the snow, the guy threw a whole bunch of wet, heavy snow and it smashed the window. So, well, it looks like they're going to fix that pothole finally. Oh, it sure is warm today. So yesterday, walking, on the rear entrance of Thorn Craig, I showed where that little inlet in the woods should be filled up with water, and it's bone dry. And then I walked off on a trail on the side, see where it went in the woods, because I don't remember there ever being a trail there. And sure enough, I walk up that trail and there were 2 men. One of them followed me up the trail. So I know what he wanted. He's gay. So I have heard people talk about that spot being one of those spots. And I had never noticed anybody there that I would think like that. I've seen a lot of college students, men and women, they park there because Bates College is nearby, and they go hiking in Thorn Craig, which is the intended purpose of the parking area there. But anyway, that sure as hell did not take long. Jeez, it's in the category of everywhere you go. Well, this guy is up ahead mowing with his riding lawnmower right on the edge of the road. That's pretty cool. Usually doesn't do that. Very nice. That'll be nice to walk on. I usually walk on that side when I go in the other direction. Well, isn't that lovely? Whew, is it warm today? Holy cannoli. Oh, look at this. This is nice and mowed here too. Grass here has stayed green for the most part because the sun never hits it. Canopy of trees overhead doesn't get very much sun. Just guessing. I'm not a grass expert, not in the very least at all. I know one thing. I got the arch of my foot on my left foot, top of the arch, not the bottom, where it attaches to my ankle, on the front of my ankle, has been sore lately. And the ball of my foot on my right foot has been getting painful also. If it gets any worse, I'm going to have to take time off from walking, at least a week, to recover. Play that by ear. But I'm feeling it walking up this hill. Look at there. Look how dry all those bushes are. They're all turning brown. Wow. Here too. Look at that. That is no water causing that. Now yesterday, walking in Thorn Craig, my 360 video I shot in the 360 playlist, on a trail, I went off the trail and I walked on the bed of the forest for a little ways, and you could feel there was a good 2 to 3 inches of forest floor that was soft. So that's all old pine needles, brush, things like that. All that stuff that is what contributes and fuels those big forest fires in California, because they don't do any forest floor management in trouble spots. If they would take a half-mile radius around populated areas and just grade out the woods, pull all this stuff out, and either burn it somewhere where it's safe, use it for landfill, whatever. There's got to be plenty of uses for that they could find that's good for the environment. That would keep these neighborhoods from burning, because they can put those fires out. The forest floor is what fuels all this stuff. It's like you get all of this flammable stuff, trees, right? Some parts of Southern California get very dry, desert-like, kind of like it is here now. And that's why in California, most of the time, the hills are brown. They're not green very often. Just certain times a year when they get rain. And they burn right up. So, I mean, it's crazy, right? They don't want to do anything to fix that. So that's like if you took a whole bunch of flammable items and you put them out in the parking lot, buckets of oil, gas, and then you poured fuel in the parking lot in between all the buckets. What's going to happen if it catches fire? It's going to catch all the buckets on fire. Now, if you don't have gas in the parking lot and you burn a bucket or two, well, you might lose a couple of buckets, but you'll be able to protect the other ones and put the fire out. So once those things in California get going, it's a lost cause. It's like, you know, it's like literally you get a raging campfire and all you're doing is just peeing on it. I mean, and they didn't have the water to put it out because of really terrible Democrat mismanagement, incompetence. So a lot of these people that get elected mayor are socialists. They're elected because people like George Soros and billionaire socialists want these people elected because they're electing socialists. They're more interested in the, wait for it, social aspects of society. They don't care about running the city, business management, capitalism, so businesses make money. All they care about is taxing the ones that do, so they can do their social engineering bullshit. And that's why they don't know how to put fires out or have water in reservoirs for in case there was a fire. And a lot of people will say, well, they wanted it to burn, they did it on purpose. I don't believe that. I just believe they're really that incompetent. But they also agree that if they do have a fire like that, they're going to build socialist low-income housing. People swoop in, billionaires that donate to Democrats, and they buy the land cheap. Very expensive land for cheap. That's what they did in Hawaii with those fires they had out there. Now, a lot of people online tried to say that those fires were set on purpose because it was a land grab. No, they're not murdering people to get their land. Not in today's world. Yeah, it was just a fire. Whether it's lightning that caused it, whatever the reason is, it's incompetent leadership. Another place where, you know, they have volcanoes all over the damn islands. That's how they're made. You would think somebody would have figured out, geez, lava could set fires like this. Lightning, careless cigarette, campfire, whatever. So they could not put 2 + 2 together. And because they're run incompetently, now they have an excuse to do a land grab. I don't think they do it on purpose with the intention of stealing land, but they sure as hell are opportunistic when the opportunity comes up. And that's my thoughts on that. Just my observation. I just really think they have social agendas, neo-Marxism, and you'll always see that from the left. Define Marxism. This is not Marxism. Marxism is the control of the economy and anti-capitalist, and well, that's a big part of the Democratic Party, isn't it? Wealth distribution. Look at Mamdani running for mayor in New York. Friggin' Looney Tunes. I heard that bike coming, so I veered off to the side here. I used to love doing that, riding a bike. Now I get that patella tendon on my right knee. That gives me problems. Can ride a bike just fine for a little while, but when it becomes repetitious, my patella tendon flares up. Then I limp for a couple of weeks. So that's why I walk. It's a happy medium. And I can't run for the same reason. My bones hurt. Too many past injuries. And a lot of things on these walks I don't talk about very much anymore these days, but I did when I first started walking and recording, is that I almost lost my leg when I was 10 from an infection. So a lot of the cartilage has been permanently damaged. It didn't bother me playing ice hockey. When I was younger, it didn't bother me riding a bike. But as soon as I got to 35 or 40, that's when it started to hurt. And now it's like, I'm not doing that. I can walk and it doesn't bother me, even though I've been bitching about my feet hurting. But young or old, when you go hiking a lot, your feet are gonna hurt. Watching a hiking video with this woman in her 20s, early 30s, late 20s, I think. She does a lot of mountain hiking, 20 miles at a time, uphill up mountains. And oh man, my heels hurt so bad. And she's used to doing it. So that's normal. But when you get older, 5 or 6 miles will do that to you instead of 20. Now last year I did 11 miles and I did a 6-miler, a 9-miler. A couple of 7s, an 8. But for the most part, I do 5 or 6 because it's daily. I stretch it out daily. Now, if I only walked 3 times a week, I would probably do 3 10-mile plus walks, which obviously would be videos too long to upload. So that would take the fun out of that. I would have to edit some of the content, splice it together. And then it takes away, in my opinion, the whole vibe of what I'm doing for health reasons. And now it's become an entertainment thing. Now I got to find background music and this and that. So anyway, just talking. Not as windy today as it was yesterday, but you can tell by the leaves it's still breezy. We still get some wind kicking up. A beautiful sky today. Hi, my friends. Just got a good shot of those hills behind me. beautiful sky today with the 360 camera, which you can find in the 360 playlist for today, August 25th, 2025. And the selfie stick here extends quite a ways. Not sure what my camera angle should be. Oh, that looks pretty good. So anyways, I'll be wrapping up the walk up ahead on today's walk, which has been very nice thus far. Beautiful day in Maine. Talked about a lot of things today that I wanted to talk about. Now this Albreo, probably saying his name wrong, Albreo Garcia, whatever his name is, the one that got deported to El Salvador, quote unquote, by mistake, mistakenly deported. The media tried to make a big deal out of it to show that Trump's immigration policy is going to deport innocent people. That was the whole premise of what they were doing. So right now this Garcia guy is being represented by a lawyer who now appears to be an activist Democrat lawyer who only took the case as a political thing, and they're not really helping the guy. Because the way our laws are, this guy broke the law and he's a criminal. He should not be here, and the courts have stated you can deport him. He should be deported. So he's already lost no matter which way this goes. They're just delaying, okay? They're resisting. They're trying to be a thorn in the side of Trump and immigration, and they don't have a legal leg to stand on. So what they're going to do is that this poor guy is going to end up getting deported to Africa, because the way the laws are, the courts have determined that this guy needs to be deported. So they keep filing lawsuits to prevent him from being deported to the country that he comes from. So the way our laws are, we can deport him to another country that will accept him. Now, most sane countries don't want him, which really boggles my mind considering the amount of people that Scotland, Ireland, and the UK have taken in, unvetted from the Middle East with no questions whatsoever. So this guy is probably going to end up getting sent to Angola in Africa, basically a shithole, to a place where he doesn't speak the language. And he didn't speak English when he came here, and he learned English. So hopefully somebody in Africa knows English at least. But I think that's where this guy is going to end up going. And so because he listened to his lawyers and politicians who he thought were helping him, he's actually going to end up getting deported somewhere else, 3,000 miles across the ocean, to a land he doesn't know the people, the customs. He'll probably end up trying to be a criminal there because he was here, and they'll actually put you to death for that without a trial. So whatever. That was the hill the Democrats wanted to die on. They wanted to defend a criminal alien. Go figure. I'm going to turn this around now. I've just hit 5 miles. I'll be ending the recording up ahead. I'll sign off with you guys. It's been a good walk today. Pretty sure the battery is going to run out any minute now. It usually does right around 5 miles in the daylight with sunshine. I want to get past, up ahead, past the traffic, and then talk into my little camera to say goodbye to y'all. And the battery is going to run out before I get there. It always does. I should just change it now, and I will. All right, changed out the battery. You got all these parents showing up for their kids. They're all here picking up their luggage. That's what kids are, luggage. Pick them up, drop them off, deliver them. Kids are back in school. That means fall is here, doesn't it? Now I'm kind of concerned over here. I've not seen anybody in this house here for a while. That's not to say nobody lives there. It looks like they do. But they usually leave their dog tied up out here. And I feel so bad because the dog really never shows much emotion, and the owner of the dog will be in the driveway and the dog's all happy, and then the owner ignores the dog. Now the dog is gone. So I don't know what happened to the dog. And it really pisses me off when people own dogs or cats and they don't take care of them. And what I mean by taking care of them is, mentally, the dog needs attention. They need to know somebody cares about them. There's a relationship there. You know, you can't be mean to the dog. I'm going to go across the street because I'm going to have cars coming at my back leaving the school. This is the safe side of the street, the sidewalk. I need to practice what I preach. So anyway, I hate it when I see dogs that I know aren't as happy as they could be. It really bothers me. And I've only seen a couple on my walks. Most of the time, they have good owners, you can tell. But probably the same people that mess up their kids too. So we'll walk a little ways up ahead there and I'll sign off with everybody. It's been a good day. It's been a good talk. I've enjoyed it. And I think I'll just sign off right here. Good a spot as any. Well, my friends, click like and subscribe. Share the content. God bless you and your family. Say a prayer for Trump and the country. Trump is kicking ass right now, big time, and he's doing so much so fast that there's almost too much to absorb at one time, which is good because he realizes he's got a short window. And the Democrats, if they win the House next year, it's going to be because the country doesn't agree with what Trump's doing. So far, I'm not seeing that. I am, however, realistic. And I'm seeing that what I'm seeing as soon as these cars go by, what I'm seeing is that prices of things are not going down fast enough. Some food prices have gone down. Gas prices were going down to about $2.96 here, $2.97. Now they're back up to $3.14, $3.10. So the prices are going back up on gas. So I'm telling you right now, if prices don't come down before people vote next year for midterms, with enough time to absorb that the prices did go down, I think the Democrats will win the House, as crazy as that sounds. And the last 2 years of Trump are going to be shit. Impeachments, investigations like we've never seen before. And I'll wait till these people pass, and then I'll say goodbye. So, hi. How you doing? How are you? Hi. Hi. So we'll wait until these things pass. But I'll tell you right now, if the Democrats win the House and Trump is still in office, you know, with Trump being in office. Picture this now. We're going to have an election in 2028. What do you think the Democrats are going to spend all their time doing? They're not going to be legislating for people. They're going to be trying to hamstring Trump with legislation. We don't know how the Senate's going to go in 2026. I'm pretty sure the Republicans are going to hold a majority, and they'll probably even add to it. But it's still early. And maybe one of those things where we gain a couple places we didn't think we would win, and then we'll lose a couple places, like maybe Maine here. Susan Collins will lose to Janet Mills. I mean, anything could happen, right? So they're going to spend all their time investigating every single person associated with Trump, trying to get the election narrative for the presidency in 2028. That's all they're going to care about, getting back in power. And they're going to tear down everything that Trump did, or try to. It's going to be resistance and obstruction like we've never seen before, like we have been already. So people are going to have to decide what they want to see next year at midterms. That's why it's very important, very, very important for prices to come down. The border's closed. That was the number 2 issue for voters. So that's good. The number 1 issue was the economy. People still can't afford to get a home. They still have high interest rates. Now Powell made some kind of insinuation that they are going to be making a move to lower interest rates and things like that. That really set the stock market on fire. And as soon as they finally do that, that's going to happen before midterms next year. So a lot of people financially are going to be a lot happier next year, because even if prices don't come down as much as people hope, you're going to be getting more taxes out of your paycheck every week. Everybody. Doubling the child tax credit. That's another big one. So all these parents with kids are going to get twice as much of the tax return money. That's going to make an impact. So right now, looking at it now, it looks one way, but next year, Democrats are in trouble, and they know it. So they're getting desperate, and they're going to do desperate things. So with that, I'm going to sign off with you. Thank you very much for watching. Say a prayer for the country and President Trump. God bless you and your family, and we will see you on the next Make America Healthy Again MAHA walk. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.